Brown's bombshell. Legendary insider Mary Kay Cabot just went on record saying Shedeur Sanders is ready to start in Cleveland. The haters are scrambling, the front office is buzzing, and the QB1 debate just got real.
I think, and Dion certainly thinks, that there is going to be a world in which Shedeur sets foot in a football game.
She's spitting a little. Guess who is now in the name or in the mouth pause of Mary Kay Cabot? It's Shedeur Sanders again. It's a Cleveland.com sports. Now, a lot of people I think might use an excuse of, well, Deion Sanders talked about it. Nah, Deion Sanders was asked by NFL players about another NFL player, and now the media is jumping on it. I want to point a few things.
Hold up. Did Mary Kay Cabot, the same reporter who's been questioning Shedeur Sanders all season, just flip the script completely? The woman who couldn't stop talking about his pre-snap issues is now out here praising his elite accuracy and uncanny touch, even saying he feels ready to play. But here's the kicker that's got Browns fans and Shedeur haters in absolute meltdown mode. She just confirmed that this fifth-round project actually chose Cleveland over Baltimore, and Deion Sanders personally told the Ravens to back off.
And the question is his readiness, because the conversation I hear about Shedeur sitting at this desk is that he was the one most behind of anybody coming into this competition. And now he can go out and prove either A, that wasn't true, or B, it doesn't matter. Mary?
Well, I think the thing about Shedeur is that he's a gamer, and I think he's going to go out in this game, and I think he's going to perform well like he did in college. I think that when the lights come on, he's at his best. He even basically said that when we talked to him the other day, that have you watched me in college, and do you...
The same kid they said wasn't starter material is now being called ready by the very reporter who doubted him most. Something doesn't add up here. And what Mary Kay reveals next is about to change everything you thought you knew about this whole situation. Y'all, I'm about to break down something that's got the entire NFL media landscape shook right now, and honestly, I'm still trying to process what just happened.
That happened yesterday was that Shedeur got a chance to go against the first team defense a little bit, and he did so working with the second team offense. So it was just a little nugget about Shedeur yesterday, and I think it's a good sign. I think he got rewarded for working really, really hard and doing a really nice job on everything. And he was able to go out there and go 2 for 3 in that session. He finished it off with 2 completions against some of the best defenders in the NFL. So I just thought that was a really good sign for him.
How are, based on what you've heard, Mary Kay, how is he doing behind the scenes, picking up the offense, and just being a teammate and all those type of things? How's he doing there?
Well, as far as being a teammate, he's doing a tremendous job with that. And I really like his personality. I've really enjoyed what I've seen and heard from him as a person, as a human being. So that's been really, really cool to watch him kind of blossom and grow here. I caught a moment with him just earlier in the week when the quarterbacks were going to be talking to us. And I saw that when Jerome Baker was at podium 2, Shedeur was getting ready to walk out of the field house with 2 members of the PR staff and walk over to podium 1. When everybody saw him going to podium 1, a lot of people started walking away from Jerome Baker. And I saw this was not a PR thing. This was absolutely...
We're talking about a complete 180-degree turn from one of Cleveland's most respected reporters. And the implications are absolutely massive for Shedeur Sanders and the Browns organization. Let me paint you the picture of what's been happening behind the scenes, because this story has layers that most people aren't even seeing. For months, we've been hearing the same narrative about Shedeur Sanders. He's not ready. Pre-snap issues. 5th-round talent at best. Daddy's boy who thinks he's better than he is. Sound familiar? Well, buckle up, because that whole narrative just got demolished in the most unexpected way possible. Mary Kay Cabot, who's been covering the Browns for over 2 decades and has seen more quarterbacks come and go than most of us have had hot meals, just dropped a bombshell that's got everyone scrambling to reassess everything they thought they knew about this situation. And here's what's wild. She didn't just admit Shedeur is talented. She didn't just acknowledge his potential. No. She went full praise mode, talking about elite accuracy, uncanny touch. And get this, she said he feels ready to play. But wait, there's more. And this is where it gets really spicy. Remember all that drama about the Ravens wanting to draft him? Remember how people were saying Shedeur was being entitled, that he should be grateful for any opportunity? Well, Mary Kay just confirmed something that's going to have the haters eating their words for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Deion Sanders personally got on the phone with Ozzie Newsome, his former teammate, someone he played for and respected, and told him straight up, "Don't draft my son." Now, before y'all start screaming about entitlement and privilege, let me tell you what really happened, because Mary Kay broke it down in a way that actually makes perfect sense when you think about it from a strategic standpoint. This wasn't some spoiled kid throwing a tantrum. This was calculated, strategic decision-making at the highest level. Deion knew exactly what he was doing when he made that call to Baltimore. He wasn't just protecting his son from sitting behind Lamar Jackson for potentially a decade. He was positioning him for success in a situation where he could actually develop and potentially start sooner rather than later. And here's what Mary Kay revealed that's got everyone's heads spinning. Shedeur was actively pursuing the Browns throughout the entire pre-draft process. He wasn't just settling for Cleveland as a backup plan. He was reaching out to Kevin Stefanski. He was building relationships with Andrew Berry. This young man saw something in the Browns organization that made him want to be there. Think about that for a second. A quarterback who could have gone to the defending AFC North champions chose Cleveland instead. A kid who had options decided he wanted to be part of what the Browns are building. That's not entitlement. That's vision. That's a young man who believes in his ability to turn around a franchise that's been struggling at the quarterback position for decades. But here's where Mary Kay really started dropping truth bombs that had me rewinding the video multiple times to make sure I heard it right. She talked about watching Shedeur in practice, seeing him work with the scout team, watching him develop chemistry with the other young guys. And what she described wasn't some project player who's lucky to be in the NFL. What she described was a quarterback who's putting in work, showing leadership, and demonstrating skills that translate to game situations. She talked about his elite accuracy. And y'all, when a veteran reporter uses the word elite to describe a rookie's skills, that's not throwaway praise. That's recognition of something special. She mentioned his uncanny sense of touch, the way he can vary his ball speed, throw it hard when he needs to, loft it over defenders when the situation calls for it. This is technical quarterback analysis at the highest level, and it's coming from someone who's watched hundreds of quarterbacks come through Cleveland. But what really got me was when she talked about his ability to attack the middle of the field. See, this is something I've been saying about Shedeur for years. Most young quarterbacks are scared of the middle of the field. They stick to the safe throws, the sideline routes, the checkdowns. Not Shedeur. Mary Kay specifically mentioned how he's not afraid to layer throws into tight windows, how he can read coverage and attack areas where other quarterbacks won't even look. And then, she dropped this line that had me jumping out of my chair. He feels ready to go out there and play. Y'all understand what that means? This isn't some reporter trying to create controversy or generate clicks. This is Mary Kay Cabot, who's been consistently critical of Shedeur's readiness, admitting that the young man himself feels prepared to contribute at the NFL level. That's growth. That's development. That's a quarterback who's putting in the work and seeing results. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. And this is the part that's got Browns fans cautiously optimistic and Shedeur supporters feeling vindicated. Mary Kay didn't just praise his physical tools and mental readiness. She talked about his confidence, his excitement, his belief in not just himself, but in his teammates. She mentioned how he's constantly talking about Caden Davis and the other young receivers, how he's building relationships and chemistry that could pay dividends down the line. Now, I know what some of y'all are thinking. But what about Joe Flacco? What about the experience factor? And look, Mary Kay addressed that too, and she was brutally honest about it. She acknowledged that Flacco hasn't been playing well, that the offense is averaging something like 15 points per game, and that changes might be coming sooner than expected. And here's the kicker. She suggested that if the Browns continue to struggle offensively, there's a real possibility that Shedeur could see the field this season, not as a desperate Hail Mary, but as a legitimate quarterback who's been preparing for his opportunity and might be ready to seize it. But let's talk about what this really means for all the narratives we've been hearing. Remember when people said he wasn't a legitimate NFL prospect? Remember when they said he was only getting attention because of his last name? Remember when they claimed he couldn't handle the pressure of professional football? Mary Kay Cabot just shredded every single one of those narratives with facts, observations, and first-hand reporting. She's been watching this kid work every day in practice. She's seen his preparation, his attitude, his development. And what she's reporting is completely different from the story we were getting during the pre-draft process. Here's what I think is really happening, and this is where it gets controversial. I think the NFL media got this story wrong from the beginning. I think they created a narrative about Shedeur being entitled and difficult because it fit a certain storyline. And now that he's in the league and proving himself every day, that narrative is falling apart. Think about it. If Shedeur was really the problem child that some people made him out to be, would Mary Kay Cabot be praising his work ethic? Would she be talking about his leadership with the scout team? Would she be describing his elite accuracy and readiness to play? Of course not. What we're seeing is the difference between perception and reality. The perception was that Shedeur was a privileged kid who thought he deserved special treatment. The reality, as Mary Kay is now reporting, is that he's a talented quarterback who made strategic decisions about his career and is backing up those decisions with exceptional work in practice. And let's be real about something else. The Ravens situation wasn't about being difficult. It was about being smart. Why would a quarterback with starting potential want to sit behind Lamar Jackson for potentially the next 8 to 10 years? That's not entitlement. That's career management. That's understanding your value and making decisions that give you the best opportunity to succeed. Mary Kay even confirmed that by the time Dion made that call to Baltimore, they likely already knew Cleveland was interested. This wasn't some reckless gamble. This was calculated decision-making based on information and opportunities. But here's what's got me most excited about this whole situation. Mary Kay talked about how Shedeur is getting extra reps, how he's working with the young receivers, how he's developing chemistry with guys who might be part of the Browns' future. That's not just individual development. That's building the foundation for something bigger. And when she mentioned that he feels his teammates are ready too, that tells me this isn't just about one player getting better. This is about a group of young guys who are pushing each other, believing in each other, and preparing to make an impact together. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room. There are still people out there who are going to find ways to criticize Shedeur no matter what happens. They're going to say Mary Kay is just being nice, or that practice performance doesn't translate to games, or that he still needs to prove himself under pressure. And you know what? That's fine. Haters gonna hate. But what those people can't argue with is consistent, professional reporting from someone who has no reason to exaggerate or create false narratives. Mary Kay Cabot's job isn't to make Shedeur Sanders look good. Her job is to report accurately on the Cleveland Browns, and what she's reporting is that this young quarterback is developing exactly the way you'd want to see. But here's the part that's really got me thinking, and this is where the story gets even more interesting. Mary Kay mentioned that there's a world where Shedeur sees playing time this season. She didn't say it was likely or guaranteed, but she acknowledged it as a real possibility based on what she's seeing. That tells me that the Browns organization might be further along in their evaluation of Shedeur than most people realize. It tells me that while they're not rushing him into action, they're also not treating him like some long-term project who won't be ready for years. And honestly, given how the offense has been performing, that makes perfect sense. If you have a quarterback who's showing elite accuracy in practice, who's developing chemistry with the receivers, who's demonstrating leadership and readiness, why wouldn't you at least consider giving him an opportunity if the current situation isn't working? Here's what I think is going to happen, and this is just my prediction based on everything Mary Kay revealed. I think we're going to see Shedeur get some opportunities sooner than most people expect. Maybe not as the starter right away, but in packages, in specific situations, in ways that let him show what he can do in real game conditions. And when that happens, I think we're going to see exactly what Mary Kay has been describing. A quarterback with elite accuracy, great touch, and the confidence to attack defenses in ways that could open up the entire Browns offense. But regardless of when or how it happens, one thing is clear. The narrative has officially changed. The reporter who was most critical of Shedeur's readiness is now praising his development and acknowledging his potential. The questions about his pre-snap reads are being replaced with recognition of his technical skills and football IQ. That's not just good news for Shedeur Sanders. That's validation of everything his supporters have been saying since he entered the league. This kid is special, he's working hard, and he's going to make an impact in this league. So, to all the haters who said he wasn't NFL material, to everyone who claimed he was just riding his father's name, to all the people who said he'd never be ready to play at this level, Mary Kay Cabot just handed you a reality check that you can't ignore. The truth is coming out. And the truth is that Shedeur Sanders is exactly what his supporters said he was. A talented quarterback who made smart decisions about his career and is proving his worth every single day in practice. Y'all better get used to hearing his name, because based on what Mary Kay is reporting, we might be hearing it a lot more often than anyone expected. And when that happens, just remember who told you first. The transformation is happening. The narrative is shifting. And Shedeur Sanders is ready for whatever comes next. The question isn't whether he belongs in the NFL anymore. The question is how soon he's going to get his chance to prove it on Sundays. Subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the game and catch every twist in this incredible story as it unfolds. Hit that notification bell because when Shedeur gets his shot, you're going to want to be here for the breakdown. Trust me, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning.